What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Peña, and in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be.
Fear isn't actually our enemy, it's actually conditioning. And this conditioning is actually things that we believe are going to be detrimental for us. But the truth is, it's simply something that we are unfamiliar to. There is a definition of fear that I want to share with you guys today, which means false evidence appearing real. And what does that mean, right? Because we all have it. We all have fear to a certain degree. We have fear of rejection, some more than others. There's fear of scarcity. There's fear of denial. There's fear of not being good enough. There's so many different levels of fear. And I really want you to understand that for centuries, this has been programmed into our DNA. We were wired to run from fear because we needed to survive. But today, most of the fears that we actually experience aren't actually life-threatening. They're actually growth-threatening. And what does that mean? Because if you're like me, you're probably somebody that clearly you're listening to these episodes because you want to become a better version of you, whatever that means, right? My definition of being the better version of me doesn't necessarily have to be your definition of being the best version of you. But one thing that we can all agree with is that if you're not growing, you're dying. And the truth is that when we allow fear to get the best of us, when we allow fear to stop us, what we're doing is that we're actually operating from a lower consciousness. And I really need you to understand what that means, because I was actually having a coaching call with one of my coaches. And one of the things she said is that there's people that have like this basic level consciousness, right? And I think we've all been there to a certain degree. Basic level meaning that you're in such survival that it doesn't matter what goes on in the world because all you can think about is what's happening in your world. You're trying to perform. You're trying to make money. You're trying to do something, right, that is actually helping your family move further along. So when people are talking about the Epstein files and when people are talking about all these things that are happening in Gaza and the social economics that are happening in the world and all these different buckets, you're like, I could care less about that. I can barely put food on the table. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, right? That creates a certain type of survival. And I really need you to understand that from the basic level consciousness that we all at one point have operated from, there is certain vibrations that carries. And what you might not realize is that when you're operating from that vibration, that scarcity vibration, all you're doing is that you are rewiring yourself to continue to be in survival mindset. Our brain's job is to actually keep us safe. Back in our hunting and gathering times, that was the one job that it had. If we saw a black cave, our brain said, don't go in there because you're going to get eaten by the tiger. When you can understand that our brain loves safety, it loves feeling like there is familiarity, right? Something that we understand. Why do some people stay in that toxic relationship? Well, because they're afraid of what's going to happen when they leave that relationship. And what if they don't find another person that's better? What if they don't find a better job? What if, and they go into all these scenarios that are negative, which in turn only breeds more uncertainty. And what you end up doing is saying, well, I'll just stay here. Even though I'm not happy, it's what I know, so I'm going to be safe. Growth actually equals unfamiliarity, right? Something we don't know, because we don't know what's going to happen when we jump ship. We don't know what's going to happen when we leave that relationship. We don't know what's going to happen when we leave that job. We don't know what's going to happen when we actually put ourselves in a situation where we don't know what's going to happen. But here's the thing. At one point, we didn't know if we were going to get to point Z from driving the very first time that we drove a car. Right? Like there's so many things that can happen in a situation where we're driving, but we don't sit there, at least most of us don't sit there and think about all the bad things that can happen when we're driving a car. We try to focus on the positive side. We try to focus at, yes, we're going to get to our destination. But what if we lived every single part of our day always focusing on what could go wrong? If you don't actually see that, this is the reason why it's important to have these conversations with somebody in your life, somebody that's actually stimulating something in you to help you grow, because the majority of us are not having these conversations with people that are helping us grow. Like this is why I invest in coaching, because for me, whenever I have a conversation with somebody that's like a high level individual that has a different mindset than I do, it always makes me question my own methodology, my own perspective of life. And this is one of the most beautiful things you can do, because you're growing. If you just continue to surround yourself with people that are telling you, yeah, you're right. Yes, what you are telling, yourself right now is correct. And yes, you know what? Everything that you are thinking about and all those fears that you have, yes, you're right. They could happen. And you know what? We shouldn't even try, right? Because if we try, there's a possibility, a very big possibility at that we could fail. And if you're always surrounded by people that are always telling you that you shouldn't do the thing, that you shouldn't try the thing, what you end up doing is always staying in that exact same boat as those people that may not be where you want to be. I've heard this from different coaches at this point. Like, don't ask for directions from people that haven't been where you want to be. Don't take advice from people that you wouldn't trade places with. Why in the world are you going to take advice from me to get healthy and live an abundant life and be, I don't know, in a situation where you're happy with your body and you love yourself, if I hate my body and I don't love myself? These are the things that unfortunately in society make people feel uncomfortable. It makes people feel like it doesn't make sense, and it makes people feel like at the end of the day, these things are just being said out of hatred, but it's actually not. They're being said because at the end of the day, what's actually happening is that you need to take advice from people that are actually uplifting you, not people that are tearing you down because of their own limiting beliefs, because of how they feel about themselves. Now, let's really get into this next proverb here, which is something that I want to share with you guys, which it says, Proverbs 16:9, in their hearts, human plan their course, but the Lord establishes the steps. And for me, at least, what that proverb is actually telling us is that we don't have to worry about how things are going to happen. We just need to worry about executing and actually working on ourselves in order for us to be a better version of ourselves. Because at the end of the day, if we're not working on ourselves, if we're not doing the thing that we need to do, then chances are, if we're always asking for external validation, external confirmation, external whatever it is, we're always going to have fear, because guess what? If somebody else hasn't done it, they're going to tell you that it's not possible. If somebody else hasn't experienced what you're asking them feedback on, they're going to shut you down and say, you should not do that business. You should not start that thing. You should not do whatever it is. And it's actually hurting you more than it is helping you. Now, another thing that I really want to get into here is when you're focusing on all the things that are going bad in your life, you're only going to attract more lack in your life. So if you're always thinking about, well, my life is always falling apart, there's always things happening, things are always chaotic, I'm never really growing, you're only going to continue to attract more of that lack. We've talked about this before, but the way that you manifest what you want is not by hoping that that thing comes into your life. It's by becoming the vibration of the thing that you want to attract in your life. So you want a intelligent, smart partner by your side. Who are you and what are you reading? How many books have you read this year? You want somebody that is abundant mindset. Okay, how are you actually embodying abundance every single day, regardless of what's going on in your bank account? You see, because it's easy for everybody to be all happy go lucky when things are going exactly the way that they want them. But when they're not, that is when God is literally showing you the opportunity for you to really show that you believe in his word, that you believe in the fact that he's always going to give you more than enough. When you focus on lack, when you focus on animosity, when you focus on lower vibrations, you're going to attract more of this energy into your space. And if you can understand this, if you can really understand that everything is connected, we've talked about it before, everything in your life is connected. Whether you see it right now or not, everything is connected. And unfortunately, most people don't even realize that they're actually amazing manifestators. Like they are, the MVPs when it comes to manifesting. But the thing is that they're actually manifesting exactly the opposite of what they want. Now, as I mentioned earlier, basic level consciousness is the survival mindset. Now, a step above is actually going to be more of an individual that is, self-aware of what's going on in the world, self-aware of what they need to improve on, but they don't really recognize that they need to have a floor, like a base floor of what their expectations are. A lot of people talk about boundaries, and I've actually been there myself. I've talked a lot about boundaries, and boundaries are great, but here's the thing. If you don't have a floor, which is like, this is like my expectation no matter what. Like no matter what, I am going to work out 4 times a week. And no matter how I'm feeling, no matter what is going on, I'm always going to do that. But if you have no floor, what ends up happening is that you propose these like unrealistic expectations, like I'm going to work out 7 days a week. And then when you don't do it, you feel bad about yourself. You slowly but surely start self-sabotaging. And then at the point where I don't even want to go to the gym, right? I don't want to work out. I don't want to do the thing. And you don't realize that you're actually self-sabotaging yourself. Now, another thing very important to understand is that when you can see that you are in a situation in your life where you have the ability to literally create anything you want in life. You have the ability to create a new destination for you. And I know some of you guys might feel like, well, Alexa, my life, the deck of cards that I've been dealt is not ideal. And I feel like I'm struggling. And I feel like everything is happening to me. And I feel like, okay, that is a lower level consciousness because you're the victim in your story. And I'm sorry, but I have to be brutally honest with you guys because that's just the truth. And I've been there. I've been the person that just like blames everybody. And I'm still at that point sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm perfect. There's still moments where I get upset and I'm like, well, this isn't fair. Why is this happening? And then I catch it and I'm like, wait, why are you lowering your consciousness right now? If you know that you are the awareness above this physical body, you are a spiritual being having a physical experience in this human body. You are above this consciousness. You are above this mindset that right now you're feeding into. This allows me to break out of this emotional cycle that sometimes it can be very easy for us to fall victim of our own stories, of our own narrations. And this is why it's so important for you to cut out the people from your life that are not serving you, the people from your life that are trying to hold you down. Whenever somebody is sinking, right? Like if you're swimming and then they start sinking, if you're not careful enough and you're the only thing in their path, they're going to drown you. Now, you might be a very good swimmer and you might be able to hold them up for a bit, but after a while, you're going to get tired and they're going to drown you. You need to be lethal with who you have in your corner. You need to be lethal with what you're surrounding yourself with what you're doing behind closed doors, with how you're interacting with yourself when nobody's listening. One of my estheticians, the lady that does my facials, she was telling me how sometimes, she talks to herself in a negative way. And that was very admirable of her to actually be vulnerable enough, because most of us are not willing to open up with people and tell them how we really think. And she told me that. And she was like, you know what, but I've been very proud of myself because I'm changing that narration and I'm telling myself, you know what, I'm beautiful. You know what, I have beautiful hair. I have luscious hair. And she got to the point where she used to have really beautiful long hair. She went through some stuff. And our hair is literally connected to our crown chakra. When we lower our vibration, especially for you girls, I mean, guys too, but you girls that are listening to this, your hair starts falling when you're stressed. I don't know if you've realized it. A lot of the times also you start getting gray hairs and you might be told that it's just genetics. That's bullshit. It's not. It's actually the fact that you're so stressed and your nervous system is actually in overdrive. And what you're doing is that you're in survival. You're now burning through all the minerals and vitamins that you might be taking. And now you have gray hair. And now your hair is falling off. And now you have all these problems with gut health and all this other stuff. And I'm telling you because it's happened to me. Whenever I freak out and I'm stressing out about something, I get this like sharp pain in the back, which is directly correlated to my gut. And then on top of that, I end up getting a headache. So I already know, okay, I cannot keep feeding this. I cannot keep allowing this energy to take hold of me. So what is our objective for this conversation? Well, our objective is to ensure that we understand that we have the power to change the story that we're telling ourselves. We have the power to change the people that we're surrounding ourselves with. We have the power to change what we're consuming, not just from like alcohol beverages, but actually consuming when we're watching these like TV shows that are feeding you false narratives. You have the power to hold yourself accountable and to say, you know what? I'm not afraid. I've never done this before. This is new. The words that you're using are one of the most powerful things that you will always have as a tool. That's why they call them spells. It's called spelling for a reason. You're literally casting a spell over you every single time that you're speaking ill about somebody else or yourself. So go out there. Be the walking manifestator that you know you are. Go out there and embody the best version of yourself. Don't feed into the narrative of the things that are happening in this reality right now. Everything that is happening is part of a grand awakening. And you need to understand that this is part of your journey. This is literally part of why you are on this assignment on earth. This is part of the reason why God allowed you to go through the things that you're going through. Because you're going to be that trailblazer, that like beacon of light that is going to inspire other people to remember that they can do it, that they are able to come out of that moment in their life, because it's just a moment. It's not forever, with their head up high, and that God is guiding them and that everything is going to be okay. So you got this. Pick up your head, shoulders back, stay strong, work on yourself, invest in yourself, love yourself. Talk to yourself like you would want somebody else to talk to you. And just remember that God brought you here for a reason. This is not an accident. So if nobody's told you this, remember that I love you and I can't wait to talk to you on the next one.
Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Walking Manifestator. And with that being said, I want to remind you, visualize, embody, and transcend. Be the walking manifestator you are born to be.